Medieval Europe may look dreamy in paintings, but behind every smooth cheek, polished forehead, and perfect courtly smile was a daily routine that would make modern beauty influencers faint. People today think a 10-step skincare routine is intense. Medieval beauty standards demanded full-on suffering, with a side of permanent damage, all for the sake of looking respectable, in a world where appearance meant status, marriage prospects, and even survival. Women, and sometimes men, spent hours trying to mold themselves into what society considered beautiful, even though most of those practices were dangerous, wildly impractical, or downright painful. Yet somehow, these routines became normal, repeated generation after generation, until everyone forgot how bizarre they actually were. One of the most brutal trends of the era was the obsession with an unnaturally high forehead. A large, smooth, rounded forehead symbolized intelligence and noble birth, so upper-class women willingly altered their faces to match this fashion. The easiest method: rip out your natural hairline by plucking, waxing, or shaving it an inch, or several inches, back. Some women even bleached the remaining hair to make it less noticeable, all in pursuit of that exaggerated dome-like look. Eyebrows also had to go. They were seen as distracting and wild. Many illustrations of noble women show them nearly hairless above the eyes, a style that required constant upkeep. Imagine living in a freezing stone castle with poor lighting, hunched over a tiny mirror, slowly plucking out every strand of hair on your forehead, all while hoping no one notices the red, swollen skin you leave behind. But the pain didn't stop at hair removal. Medieval beauty also worshipped pale skin, not for aesthetics alone but because white skin meant wealth. You didn't have to labor outdoors. To achieve that ghostly glow, women applied powders containing everything from ground lead to vinegar to arsenic. These cosmetics smoothed the skin temporarily but poisoned it slowly. The more you used them, the more your skin broke out, and the more you had to use them again. It was a vicious cycle disguised as beauty. Even worse, some women added crushed pearls or alabaster dust for shine, inhaling toxic particles with every breath. And because skin diseases were extremely common, many covered blemishes with even heavier layers of lead-based makeup, destroying their skin even further. A medieval beauty routine wasn't skincare, it was slow-motion self-destruction. Blush was also considered attractive, but natural rouge wasn't always available or affordable. So people turned to dangerous alternatives: mercury-based cinnabar, plant dyes that irritated the skin, and even crushed insects mixed with oily binders. A rosy cheek was a symbol of vitality, yet the substances used to create that healthy glow caused rashes, peeling, and in severe cases poisoning. Medieval people learned quickly that suffering for beauty wasn't a metaphor, it was simply part of the daily grind. Even the scent of a woman mattered, but medieval hygiene was inconsistent. While baths weren't as rare as Hollywood suggests, they were still limited, and strong fragrances often masked everyday odors. Wealthier women infused their clothes with perfumed sachets, but the most extreme method was rubbing rosewater, herbs, and aromatic oils directly onto the skin without washing first. Over time, perfume mixed with sweat created a thick, sour smell that was somehow still considered more pleasant than natural body odor. Imagine slathering layers of scented oil on unwashed skin for weeks at a time and calling it beauty. You can practically feel the itchiness just thinking about it. Teeth were another battlefield. White, straight teeth weren't common, so people used bizarre methods to get closer to the ideal. Some rubbed their teeth with ashes or pumice, others used wine vinegar so strong it stripped enamel instantly. A few wealthier individuals even stained their teeth black intentionally because it hid decay better than letting yellow or brown show. In Japan, blackened teeth were considered elegant and beautiful, but in Europe it was more of a practical illusion. Better to have evenly colored dark teeth than a half-rotted smile. Medieval beauty was all about appearances. If it looked good in candlelight, it counted. Hair styling was its own nightmare. Women's hair was either hidden under heavy veils or shaped into towering structures held together with wax, lard, and pins. These headpieces could be so intricate that women slept sitting up to avoid ruining their hair. Hair washing was rare because it was believed to cause illness, so instead women powdered their hair with herbs, flour, or ground roots. The mixture absorbed oil but also attracted insects. Lice combs were used constantly, and having bugs crawl through your fashionable hairstyle was just normal. Beauty didn't stop for parasites. For hands, which were considered one of the most important markers of femininity. The ideal was soft, pale, and untouched by labor. Women wore gloves even indoors to protect their delicate skin from darkening. Some whitened their hands with corrosive mixtures containing vinegar, egg whites, and powdered metals. These concoctions stung terribly and sometimes ate through the top layer of the skin, but the results, smooth, pale fingers, were worth the agony in a world where beauty equaled status. And then there were corsets. Medieval versions weren't like the Victorian hourglass crushers, but stiffened bodices and tight lacings were still common. They compressed the ribs, restricted movement, and made breathing difficult. A woman who could barely move gracefully was considered elegant because she appeared delicate and refined. Physical weakness was fashionable, a symbol that you never had to work with your hands or lift anything heavy. If you fainted easily, even better, it showed you were sensitive. Imagine living life as a decorative object instead of a functional human being. Even walking outside required beauty discipline. Women carried parasols, avoided sunlight, and sometimes even applied mixtures of vinegar and egg whites on their faces before leaving the house, letting it dry into a thin film that cracked painfully when they smiled. This mask kept dust off the skin and maintained paleness. Smiling too widely could break the film, so expressions were small and controlled. Beauty wasn't just something you applied, it dictated how you moved, behaved, and interacted with others. In the end, medieval beauty rules weren't just harsh, they were punishing. They demanded constant maintenance, daily discomfort, and lifelong damage to achieve standards that were impossible to maintain. While people today worry about filters and unrealistic expectations, medieval beauty took the pressure to extremes. Every plucked hairline, lead-painted cheek, perfumed oil layer, and tight-laced bodice was a reminder that beauty was a battlefield, one where the cost was not just pain but sometimes health and even life itself. Yet despite the suffering, people followed these standards faithfully, believing beauty was worth any price. And in the quiet halls of those old stone castles, as women carefully plucked their hairlines by candlelight, the world of medieval beauty marched on, unforgiving, demanding, and absolutely relentless.